Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Colorado Springs Tech Conference for inviting me to speak here. Okay, so for my, I'm Devlin Duldulao. I'm a Microsoft MVP and an Auth0 ambassador. I'm here to talk about GraphQL. So first, here's I'm going to show you what to do. I'll show you some slides, about the theories, and then do some other demos. Okay. So what is GraphQL? Um, GraphQL is a specification, a query language for your API that provides a more efficient, powerful, and flexible client-server communication alternative to REST. And what it means by specification is that GraphQL is only a set of general guidelines on how to query data in really efficient way, but you may use different approaches or design patterns when implementing GraphQL, right? And then what's good is that there are already GraphQL implementations in different languages. You can build a GraphQL server using Python, C Sharp, Java, JavaScript, LXURB, Scala, PHP, and more. And now, who's using GraphQL then? These are the companies that are using GraphQL in production, and it's growing fast. You have here Yelp, Lyft, Twitter, Shopify, Pinterest, PayPal, to name a few. And yeah, why GraphQL? Why use GraphQL? GraphQL has a lot going for it, but I'll focus on the main advantages of moving your REST API to GraphQL. First of all, you get types, which guarantees that the data you get will be of the type expected and prevents many of the common errors with REST. So if that's been an annoyance for you, you're a good candidate. I'll show you that later in the demo, this types inspection. Also, when you have multiple databases or even different databases serving the same application, GraphQL is a much better approach to this disjointed architecture, as it serves a single point to do all your queries versus multiple separate entities. And the other advantage of going to GraphQL is the flexibility of the queries. You can query for a very specific type of data, say only one property of query, like only the first name and not all the properties of an object. Object may return when you query a list of contacts, for example. You'll see that in the data as well. So just these small points may already prove to you GraphQL is a much better approach than simple REST API. However, GraphQL isn't the best solution in all cases. For instance, writing GraphQL types along with your entities. That's one. If you're building a small application or API, REST could be much better approach. Consider the cost of developing the GraphQL tool versus the value it may provide. If you're going to scale an application beyond the simple queries or already have a big implementation, then yes, GraphQL may make sense. So start small with REST because implementing GraphQL isn't that big of a deal, and when you're ready, go for it. Then before we differentiate GraphQL from REST, let's see what's common between them. All are stateless, produce data in JSON format, and then available in any server-side languages and front-end frameworks. Now let's see what are the differences between the two. First, REST has these multiple round trips to collect the information from multiple resources, whereas in GraphQL, it has one single request to collect the information by aggregation of data. And next, multiple endpoints in REST. In GraphQL, it is single endpoint. This makes GraphQL more maintainable and more user-friendly or developer-friendly. Next, overfetching and underfetching data resources in REST. But in GraphQL, you only get what you ask for. You'll see that in a bit. So what else? In REST, caching is built into HTTP spec. GraphQL, on the other hand, has no automatic caching system. But libraries like Apollo can do the caching for you or set up. And proxy, you can also set up a proxy server between the client app and the GraphQL server. Okay, here are the key concepts that you need to remember. In GraphQL, query are used to fetch data and can be executed with fragments, aliases, and arguments. And mutation, so this is the second thing. They're only like less than 10, And here the mutations are used to add, update, or delete data into GraphQL environment. And then we have also subscriptions. Subscriptions is a capability to notify clients of findable events that happen in the API. It's like a WebSocket. Types. So it's like a schema defines your GraphQL schema. Each property expects a type, example string. Also have resolvers. Resolver is a function that resolves the actual value of each field within a type. And then we have also this context. It's an object shared by all resolvers of a specific execution. It lets resolvers communicate with each other as well. It's useful for keeping data such as authentication info, the current user, database connection, data sources, and other things you need to for running your business logic. Also have the schema. Schema defines the shape for data. This is a union of the types and the resolvers. And basically, here resolvers are the functions that respond to queries and mutations. They are the function that gives us the result of the query. And lastly, here the data loaders. Data loaders batch if they batch and cache your database queries. Okay, here we go. So here's an example of GraphQL query that you can send from client app to the GraphQL server. So let's check this out one by one. First, we have query here. Query is the read-only operation requested to a GraphQL server. Other types of mutation, right? And subscription. And mutation. Query is mutation is a read-write operation, and this is query is the read. And then subscription again is used for creating WebSocket connections. And then we also have this here object type, which is the most basic component of GraphQL schema. It's being used here as requested field, and that will be the object to be returned. And here is a scalar type. It can be primitive types such as string, boolean, float, ID, or custom type. So one advantage of GraphQL is that you can be very specific about which kind of data you want to retrieve. To get the use data here, only the ID and title. So while the other properties of the to-do object that are stored in the database, let's say it's completed or created at, here for this query, we're not fetching them. And then here's another example of GraphQL query. There's the operation type, operation name, that's optional, but will help you in debugging and server-side logging, and variable definitions. So GraphQL queries allow you to be more specific regarding which data you want to fetch, and that can reduce the amount of data which is transferred over the wire. And here, introspection. So every GraphQL server has a special schema field at the query route, and using that, you can expose all of the objects and fields in the GraphQL server. This allows developers to create amazing tools, for example. So these are one of the things that are lacking in GraphQL. So in introspection, you get this auto documentation. You can ask for a server, what are your fields and objects? You'll see that later. And these fields are and objects usually have names and descriptions. Plus, they can let you use every field. So you have free documentation here. Code generation, you can imagine if you have some front-end code, you might even be able to guess what query do you need and generate, because you know what's possible and not. Static validation, you don't even need to let a query go to the server and then get rejected, because you know beforehand if that query is valid or not. And then yeah, that would help IDEs to validate your queries and autocomplete your queries, because they know everything about your schema. Honestly, yeah, this is my favorite part in the GraphQL. So how to get started? To start, you need to build a GraphQL server, then use GraphQL on the front end. And yeah, here, steps to GraphQL node server setup. Let's say, here's an example: install GraphQL Yoga, define the type definition, queries mutations, build the resolvers, build the schema, and then set up GraphQL client or port client. So demo time here. Here's the code for the front end, and here's the for the back end. Here, here's the resolvers. You can put the query mutation. So query here, feeds, mutation, so this is just a really basic um, GraphQL server. Query, the GraphQL server, the type definitions, schema, resolvers, and the context. Then let me show it to you. We don't have much time here. This is a sample of GraphQL query. So here, and then you can tab, and then you see here red bar here, or squiggly, meaning you're not doing it right. You can just hover it. This is the keyword query. You can control space. You can see what you can do. Okay. So you can grab this feed or info. Let's say feed. Then you get it again. This red here, meaning feed or type link must have selected subfields. So subfields, you're required to do this. Just write again these curly braces, control space. Just, I hope you're hearing me doing control space. Then here you can choose which one you want to retrieve, this ID, description, or URL. Say description. Now we have here, and this side is the introspection. I'm telling you, we have the schema here, so you know how the shape of the objects that you can retrieve from the GraphQL server. Here it is, ID, description, URL posted. You can see also string. Some are booleans. We don't have booleans here. And the docs, what GraphQL queries can do, and mutations. You can look at here, and you can also just poke what's inside. I'm poking there. Then see, and the data is in JSON format, and then you can consume it. You can basically just copy this, since this is your query. You can copy it and then paste into your, for example, this one, in your front end. Paste it there, and then you can retrieve what's inside. For example, this one, but it's sending to different GraphQL server. I'm just showing you what's being done in the front end, and that'll be the application. So this is the best part here. This you can see here, and you know what? You can go here to GraphQL.org, /swappy -GraphQL, and you can do some some GraphQL query without creating your own GraphQL server. There's a public API, GraphQL API, that you can do some tests or practice. So here, for example, these are from Star Wars. You can do this, and then control or command space. So you can see this intelligence thing. You go planet, and the squiggly again, meaning must have a selection. So here name diameter. So you can do this, and then you can also get this. Let's say let's send. Planet. Okay. Species. Maybe we can do this. You need the planet ID here, so we can try a different one. Yeah, you get the point here, right? So here you can just grab. You need an ID. So for that, you need to query variables. Lastly. So yeah, we don't have much time now. That's it. Let's go back to switching now over to the slide. And yeah, for security and in the API, so block endpoints, putting them together all at once to minimize the number of queries. Network level caching, you can do that with security. Limiting the maximum query size also, and then per resolver level authentication. So we don't have much time, and you can check this out, how to GraphQL.com, teach you how to write GraphQL server, and how to consume it in a step-by-step process. Yeah. So summary: what and why GraphQL? GraphQL is a specification, a query language that ensures data is efficiently generated and accessed. Apollo, that's in the front end. Yeah, it's a client-side library that leverages the power of GraphQL API to handle data fetching and management for you. So yeah, thank you again, and this is the website. You can try GraphQL. Okay, bye.